Thanks for joining us today. Welcome to Troubleshooting Suction Machines 101. I'm Sue, the respiratory therapist with Global Medical Products, and a lot of times we get phone calls going, the suction machine's not working. So I'm going to show you an easy way to check it out. First of all, as long as your canister is empty, because you don't want to do this if you have stuff in it, what you're going to do is shake it to make sure that the top, the float inside, is not stuck from goop. Some have a plastic float, some have a foam float, some have a little rod with like a sponge type thing on the end of it. Depending upon where you get them from will determine what type of lid you have. Sometimes when you empty your canister, stuff will get up in here and cause it to stick. So as long as it's loose, and you can tell that if you shake it a little bit and you hear it rattle, then you know it's good if it's the plastic one. The other two you have to just look at. So your canister goes in the holder. This canister top has a big cover. That goes in the big hole. The small one, if I'm throwing it away, would cover one of the others. The lid of every canister has pictures. One shows the flow to the person, the patient, the other one to the machine. You have a short hose and you have a long hose. The short hose goes from the top of the machine, of the canister, to the machine. The long hose goes from the front, and again it has pictures telling you what goes where, and this is what connects to either your yank hours or your suction gathers. Now a lot of times we get a phone call, the suction machine isn't working. Those calls a lot of times get routed to me. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'll say, does it turn on? It either will or it won't. If it does not come on, I'm going to ask you to plug it into a different outlet. Sometimes we don't think about the fact that the end of the plug is plugged into an outlet that gets turned off when the light switch is turned off. So that's one of the reasons why we say plug it into a different outlet. So the first thing I'm going to do when we're troubleshooting is, and of course I would have gloves on my hand, or you would, is turn the machine on, disconnect your short tubing, and put your finger over the end, the connector. Is your gauge going up? Do you have suction? If you do, we know it's not the machine. If at this point in time you don't have suction, you need to make sure that your knob is turned all the way in. This regulates how much suction you have. So that's all the way in. We had suction here, so then we're going to hook up our short tubing. So we hook up our short tubing, we're going to turn the machine on and put our finger over the other end. And we have suction. Again, I know it's not the suction, I know it's not this piece of tubing. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to hook it to the top of the canister, the short piece. Now, when we turn it on, you're going to put your finger over this part here where you would hook the long tubing. What you have to remember is it's going to take a few seconds longer because it has to suck the air out of the canister. So we're going to turn it on, put your finger there. Do you have suction? You do. So we know the canister is good. Sometimes, if you have a problem at this point, you have to make sure your lid's down all the way, that this is covered. Sometimes they'll get a crack in them. Sometimes it's just a bad canister. It's made on a machine. That happens. So we know our canister is good. Now we're going to hook up the long tubing. We're going to repeat the process. Again, remember, it has to suck all the air out of the canister as well as out of the tubing. I have suction. So we're good. Now we know that this is totally fine. There's two types of yank hours that you will see. Some people call them tonsil tips, mouth suckers, different things. One has a hole in it. It's called vented. One does not have a hole in it. It's really important, if you have the one that has the hole in it, your finger goes over it. The one that's vented, what you're going to do is you're going to take a glass or something with water in it, and we're going to put it over, and it's not really creating much of a vacuum. It's not sucking much up. If I cover the hole, we now have lots of suction. Now with the non-vented, you don't have to worry about covering that hole. As soon as it gets to the secretions, it's creating the vacuum. And therefore, everything is being removed. A lot of times I get a question and they'll say, when I use the yank hour in the mouth, it's not getting anything. Everything works, but it's not sucking anything out. One of the things you have to do is when you put this in their mouth, if they can close their mouth, close their lips around it, it creates a closed environment, and so it will suck the secretions out. If not, if you can just gently close their lips around it, then you should be able to get some suction. Again, you start at the machine, does it turn on? Check each connection all the way through, and that'll let you know if your suction machine works or not. Thank you.